Somebody at a store challenged me. I was like, why don't you do it this way? And he was like, what do you know? You've never sold cars. And I was like, how difficult can it be? Right. And then I am now like down on the floor selling it, trying to figure it out. I was like, I need to understand why, but I want to figure out what are the difficulties and intricacies in this. And honestly, it's fun. Like I've made like some good friends. We just, yeah, it's more fun than I thought it would have been.
Zach here, and today's guest is Monik Pamecha, co-founder of Toma, a company focused on helping dealerships unlock efficiency through AI-driven communication and operations. Monik brings a sharp perspective on how new and used car dealers can leverage AI to compete more effectively. We'll dive into what real AI adoption looks like on the ground and how it's changing the way dealers handle leads and drive conversions. Thanks, Monik, for being on the podcast today.
Well, thank you so much, Zach, for having me. I'm sad we couldn't meet in person. I mean, although we're in the same city.
Next time. And for those who maybe haven't heard of Toma or your background, tell us a little bit about yourself, like how you got into the auto industry and ultimately raised from tier one VCs like A16Z and went through Y Combinator.
Well, my background is I'm an engineer. I've been in tech most of my life. Um, and the way we ended up in automotive is serendipity. So we were just trying to build stuff to solve people's problems, and we ended up finding a few customers who really liked our voice AI product about 2.5 years ago, and there's a dealer group in there, who like found us at the time. Like, I mean, voice AI or AI for that matter wasn't that big. There's like GPT 3.5 or something was the big thing. And they were seeking a solution to answer
Mhm.
their phones, right? They're like, well, we've had a bunch of BDCs or folks in the call center try to do it, not it, right? We've had a lot of turnover. Help us. And we just took that as a problem statement and tried to figure out what we could do, spend like weeks and months in the dealership and came up with a solution. So that's, we took what we had something that worked with, initially we were focused on
Mhm.
healthcare and,
Interesting.
and we had like this airline that we were running a pilot with and a bank in Australia that we were running, like all that stuff was going on. And at the same time, like we were like looking for people to move quickly and dealers move really quickly. And we're like, okay, let's double down. And then once we did well for, our customer, they told their friends about it. And, in a few months, we had like 40, 50 customers with like
Wow.
no sales team, nothing. It was just myself and my co-founder.
That's amazing. And like what specific problems in dealership operations maybe like stood out to you as like most ripe for AI driven solutions?
So service was one, right at the
Mm,
time, because franchise dealers obviously had a massive volume of calls on that. But as we went down that path, there's this friction that we saw in the car buying process as well. So, we started focusing on that, and trying to improve like the first touch of customers. Anytime anybody's interested in buying something or, in a lease or whatever, right? They're trying to get questions answered and they're looking for speed,
mm,
right? I want something, give it to me. Like if you want Amazon, like you went from like 3 days to 2 days to same day to freaking, like in the next 3 hours. That's where
totally.
the consumer is going. And we saw that, like, what would it take to make it happen on the dealership side? And, we looked down at, how leads are handled, like what are the friction points in the financing process, whatever, right? So we started attacking these problems on the sales side as well. So we started with service, slowly expanded over to sales. And then that opened doors to like not just franchise dealers, right? You have all the dealers, anybody who's selling a car is now, can benefit from something that we have.
And why do you think dealers in particular are uniquely positioned to benefit from AI right now? The why now, in a sense.
Okay. I'd say that everyone positioned to benefit from AI, like all the way from whatever job you're doing, right? Even if you're mopping the floor, there's something that AI does, right, that actually benefits you. Um, but I would say like the why now for dealers at least is, I mean, why not? What
Mm,
is right? What's the alternative, right? Like let the previous like what's the previous experience is like, hey, you respond, like you that's your customer expresses interest and they're just waiting to get an answer, let them wait. No, right? Or if somebody wants to get something and there's this friction point, or I would say obstacle in between, and you can
mm,
remove it. Would you not remove it as quickly as possible? Like there's some financial payment, they're trying to, evaluate the vehicle for trade-in and they don't know how much it costs and they're looking for a better explanation of it, or I don't know. And in the discovery process, right? Can you help me?
mm,
Like I want this and that car's not available. So what, should I just leave the funnel, or is there some way where you could guide me to something that's very close to what I was looking for that you have right now? So these are the things that AI makes possible infinitely, like at some scale, right? Like it's like having 500 salespeople or 1,000 salespeople. Like, why would you not do that? And these thousands are ones that will do exactly as you want them, as you teach them. So that's what AI enables. So I think the why now of it is pretty clear. Um, Consumers want more than ever, and you cannot possibly stretch humans to get there. It's just
mm.
not possible. So AI fills the gap.
Totally. And I would say though, there's a lot of buzz around AI. A lot of vendors have AI, attached to what they're doing, from a marketing standpoint. Where do you think dealers are actually seeing the real efficiency gains today with AI?
Oh, it depends on the dealer. I hear like people on podcasts sometimes, and I
Hmm.
hear generic answers, and it like pisses me off a little bit. Maybe I'm guilty of having said that in the past, but now I have understood that it really depends on the nature of your operation where you would benefit the most with AI. If you have a lot of leads and you don't have enough people to answer them, you'll benefit with AI over there. If you have a lot of service demand and you cannot service it, right? And there's something that's choking in on your technician side, there's possibly some AI that you could use over there to help you. It depends what we call it, the longest pole, right? And the problem, like what is the part that's like the most painful, right? Or the most inefficient, and you solve for that. So I would say it depends on the type of dealer you are. You're an import, you're a domestic, you're a luxury. Service volume is different. Sales lead volume is different. Your tier one, the interaction that they have in terms of how much traffic they send to you, or if you're a used car dealer, right, like your acquisition strategy, your retail location, there is no one thing fits all. It doesn't
Hmm.
exist, but there are like opportunities on acquisition, on the actual like lead, nurturing side, on the service retention side, on actually outbound, all those things, right? So I
Hmm.
would say that's the piece. Yeah, it depends.
How should dealers think about ROI when investing into AI tools, software products? Like what metrics matter? Some dealers might even be thinking on a franchise side about like co-op as it relates to AI efficiency. Curious, your thoughts on that.
Um, I think they should just measure the dollar value it
Mhm,
generates, like if it's revenue created, like revenue added, or revenue retained, or yeah, just it's not any different from like how you measure your current business. You're 20,
mhm.
open the financials, see the cost, like has it led to reduction in the cost? To what extent? What line item did it remove? What line item did it reduce?
And let's kind of transition a little into AI and lead handling and kind of automation versus like true AI agents. So, what's the difference between traditional automated responses, maybe in CRMs, different platforms, and what you really consider true AI agent, true kind of AI response?
Um, I would say that this is like, I don't know, spaghetti of like terms. Um, but true agent is something that does the work end to end. So if
Mhm.
anytime you need any sort of human involvement, that's where the agent's capability ends, right? So you should just measure about how much time you need to put in to actually achieve that same business outcome, right? From a human standpoint. If it is like maybe 5% of, you know, of whatever the task is, then that's great.
And how does an AI agent actually move a lead, let's say from inquiry to qualified appointment? Like what's happening kind of behind the scenes, from like a dealer standpoint as they're thinking about like implementing a tool like Toma and it managing their leads?
Uh, so let's see, what can the AI agent do? A lot, right? It can extract context on the customer. So let's say if you have this AI agent, like our AI agent can actually see what you did on the website completely. It has access to your, whatever you were browsing, which pages you hit, what you did until you finally got to the lead. Now the AI can actually see all of this. It can look you up, right? Like based on the information you gave it, understand who you are, what you're seeking, and then give you
Mhm.
the best response. It's like usually a lot of times people are spending time explaining to the sales representative what they want. What the AI does is it cuts that, I guess makes it shorter, that distance. It already knows so much. It's like it just starts further ahead. That's what the AI agent does. So, in terms of understanding what you're seeking, it has a clearer understanding of that. Of what type of car, what are your preferences, and then it can surface options accurately and, till the point where you're sure, ready to come in to the store to
Mm.
check it out, or you're ready to buy it, right? Wherever you are in the funnel, it has preferential treatment for you based on where you are and can get. I mean, imagine a salesman who is like really aware, right?
Mhm.
Can pick up anything that you're saying. Like, how many people do you know in your life who are like that? Uh, right. And sometimes you just end up repeating the same thing again and again. That ideally, right, like in the best case scenario, does not happen. And our goal is to make that best case scenario like every scenario.
This podcast is brought to you by Auto a complete dealership software platform. From inventory management and CRM to websites and marketing tools, Auto helps dealers run their business more efficiently and close more deals. To learn more, visit automanager.com. Now, back to the show.
What impact are you seeing on show rates, rates when dealers start using Toma or, AI kind of driven tool like what you offer?
So in terms of like appointment set rates, right, we see
Mm.
like at least an increase in like 5 to 10%, over what they were like. I'm saying 5 to 10% if you just start with like just add AI without like customizing, configuring anything. It is what it is,
Mhm.
right? So 5 to 10% over what you were seeing previously with zero modification because it's just more persistent and a little smarter. When you customize it or something, you can see lifts of up to 50%. It depends on your demographic, on how much effort you put in, but it is possible. And similarly, I mean, it's the same measurement all the way down to every part of the funnel. Like each
Mm.
part of the funnel, depending on what changes you make, and also, right, like if you're a single price store, or do you
Yeah.
have negotiation, like that changes the game completely now because the agent, are you gonna let it negotiate? It's up to you, but it will change, the conversation. And if it's like, hey, this is the price, this is it, that piece is easy, and maybe more people fall out of the funnel at that point. So it's a complicated like answer to give, but I would say 5 to 10% is like the base benchmark, like baseline.
And are there any common mistakes you see dealers when implementing AI into their workflows at their dealership for the first time? Any like common mistakes you've observed?
Um, I don't know if it's dealers making the mistakes or if it's the
Hmm.
vendors not, I don't know, miscommunication, or it's just a new thing, right? But I wouldn't say a mistake, but it's like a, what's the word for it? Uh, it's like an expectation that
Hmm.
I don't think is often met with like a, I don't know, it never really realizes or materializes, which is, hey, we'll just put AI in and tomorrow it'll be like the best of the best. That's not gonna happen. Yeah, you're not gonna see like jumps in all your metrics, because of this. Because let's say if customers were annoyed about the fact that your prices were not transparent, I mean, AI cannot fix that for you,
Mm,
right? And that they're just gonna talk about this. The AI agent will engage with the customer about the same issue and will tell you that that's the case. So it's not going to change anything if something underlying, is broken. So yeah, it's not a magic bullet.
yeah. And as you look ahead and you start to think about AI reshaping dealership, maybe even staffing models over the next 3 to 5 years, like what do you see? What do you predict in terms of like AI developments with dealer software the next 3 to 5 years?
I think what will happen is that the experience should improve for the customer. It will get extremely competitive. So people will be able to engage with multiple dealers as quickly as possible and get like all the information they want because they'll have their own agents.
Mhm.
So yeah, dealer software will mostly become invisible, I would say. That's what's going to happen. Like it's less of software and more like stuff that gets done and you'll just be like dealing with, like you'll be configuring, like, you'll be diagnosing why. Like you'll look at the conversation, you'll be making decisions. Like you're like, oh, so we lost 60% of deals because of price. So should we do something here? Like these, alerts or rather decision criterias will bubble up and you'll basically be playing a video game, right?
Hmm.
It'll
Mhm.
reduce running any business to a video game where, they'll distill the decisions that you have to make as to why it's working or not, and you'll just pick something. And then your combination of decisions is your video game, is your dealership. And then you see how it performs and you measure the score. So it's going to become a game. I mean, it already is, except that it's difficult to see these metrics that way, but like these AI agents will reduce it down to that.
That's a really interesting take. And a lot of people talk about AI replacing potentially a lot of roles versus augmenting existing teams. Curious, like your perspective on that.
Both will happen,
Mhm.
right? Like I'm sure there are people who still write books with hand, but there's the press, right? But hey, is it, you know, like the roles will get certain roles will become redundant, certain roles will become more important. Some roles will change. All the three things will happen at the same time. I wish I could predict the future,
Yeah, crystal ball.
right? I'd
So,
buy.
for dealers, let's say they're skeptical about getting started with AI, like what's the first step? What should they just consider just to cut the string and jump into AI adoption?
What is it stopping them? Like
Yeah.
what?
Well, like for instance, some dealers are concerned, I don't want to, implement this AI tool because it doesn't integrate with X, Y, or Z system yet. There's like hesitancy to adopt the technology. I'm scared it's going to say something bad to a customer, like maybe promise a, 20 grand out the door on a Bentley Continental. Like curious kind of your perspective on that.
I feel for them because I myself buy tools, right, for our company, right? I
Yeah.
am also scared of like what, the hits our metrics will take for, because of the fault of a product. But at this point, I feel like the margin for error is like as a business, if you're operating, like it's, everything is competitive, right? Especially if you're a
Mhm.
dealer. Like it's like, oh, at what point is the risk justified? That is the question. Like everything has risk, even walking on a street has risk, right? You
Mhm.
get hit by a car or a
Yeah.
meteorite. I don't know, right?
Right.
But the question is, in your head, you're doing some math on like, what is the upside? What is the downside? Everybody calculates this differently. Um, but I would say overall, at this point, the upside for using AI is just so much higher that, and the downside is reducing over time. So, what AI could do 2 years ago and what the risks of like, oh, is it going to like completely tell someone how to like use soap to make something, that can explode? That's not true
Yeah.
anymore. Right. But that's not to say that there are different ways in which this is coming up. Right. So the risks remain. They will never be zero, but they'll
Mhm.
never be 100% either. So it's a trade-off. And the odds are like forever increasing in favor of AI.
Well said. So, last part of the podcast, three kind of rapid fire questions. So, I'm going to start with the first one. One dealership process you'd automate tomorrow if you could.
Uh, I think the the leasing process, like the entire like all the steps in it, not because I think it's the easiest and the simplest to automate. Like you could hands off do that.
Yeah. Leasing calculator.
Yeah,
Totally.
or just like the transaction actually, just taking a car off a lease, like you could do it in like 6 clicks. It's like possible.
Second question, biggest misconception dealers have about AI?
Uh, that AI actually has a brain of its own. Uh,
In one sentence, what separates high performing dealers in the next 5 years?
I think it's discipline. It's like giving up short-term gain for long-term gain. Like, understanding that like very few like operators, I think, internalize this and sometimes the
Mhm.
operators do, but then their employees don't. So I think wherever we've seen a culture of that, like we've seen tremendous results.
Very well said. So, anything else for the guests? Like, how could they find out more about Toma? Sorry, I meant the audience. How could anyone find out about Toma? Any conferences upcoming for you guys? Any shout outs?
Yeah, I mean, they just come to toma.com or,
Mhm.
you know, email me. I mean, reach out to me on LinkedIn, anywhere, right? My email is my first name at toma.com. Um, yeah, always there to respond, help customers. I got a DMV salesperson license myself in California. I've been in the store selling for some of our dealers. I was like, I need to feel the pain myself and get an idea of what's going on. And that's what I've been doing. And that's been helping me improve the product like dramatically.
That's amazing. Like, what gave you that idea to do something like that? Because most founders in auto, I could tell you, aren't doing that. Like, that's really
Because
revolutionary. Yeah.
because somebody at a store challenged me, I was like, why don't you do it this way? And he was like, what do you know? You've never sold cars. And I was like, how difficult can it be? Right. And then I am now like down on the floor selling it, trying to figure it out. I was like, I need to understand why is this lead not like why do you think this is a bad lead, or why is this difficult or not whatever it is, right? I want to know for myself. And I've done my share of selling, but I want to figure out what are the difficulties and intricacies in this. And honestly, it's fun. Like I've made like some good friends. We just yeah, it's 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 more fun than I thought it would have been. It's also annoying, like
Yeah.
more annoying than I actually thought it was as well, by the way. So I feel the pain that folks have. The frustration, and I'm starting to get it more than I ever did.
Yeah, I remember I was in college. I was going to Emory selling cars. So I had all this context switching where, I might be doing business classes during the day, going to the dealership. And I learned tremendously there. And that's kind of what planted the seed for my product. And I just love how when you started Toma, like you were in the dealerships, even at this point, after raising, VC and like really off to the races, like you're still going back. So that's like, just super impressive, says a lot about you as a founder.
Well, thank you. Well, I just like to learn, so I'm putting my head down and learning, how business is done, and you know, hopefully we fuse like the knowledge from all different sides, and uh, you know, the customer, yeah, benefits from this.
Awesome. Well, pleasure having you on the podcast today. Thanks so much for joining.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zach.